What is going on, guys? I am back again, Mr. Tasty, for my official Halloween video. So I did do a video like this one last year, right around this time, which is right here that you can watch, where I discussed top 10 candy bars, my top 10 candy bars that you would find in your Halloween bag. This year, I wanted to do something a little bit different, but kind of similar in a way, where I discuss my top 10 candy treats from my past that I have often found in my Halloween bag that you might find when you go out trick-or-treating. Quick note and disclosure, I actually wore this exact same Halloween costume to a Halloween party, and I won a costume contest for $100 that I later blew on liquor later that night. So anyways, without further ado, here are my top 10 candy treats for Halloween that you might find going out trick-or-treating. Bang.
Yo, I ain't here for the money, I ain't here for the fame. Though it might be nice to own a jet plane, I'ma do it all for you.
So the first candy treat from my past that you might find in your bag tonight, if you're lucky, in no particular order, at number 10 are Push Pops. Push Pops are awesome. They still are. You can still get these. If you go to the Halloween store, any store, you can find these eventually. So Push Pops were actually debuted in 1986 by the Topps company. And the whole thing behind Push Pops or ring candy is the fact that it's kind of like a wearable thing. It comes with a little little clasp there. You can just clasp onto your coat or to your jeans and wear it to show your friends that you have a reusable lollipop. So that's basically what Push Pops are. The whole gimmick, the whole mechanic behind it is that you take your finger in here and you push up a Push Pop, and it's kind of like it's a lollipop basically. It's a long cylinder that you can retract and save for later. That's the whole thing of it. And the reason why people would get this was just to show off that you have something cool. I used to put my middle finger in it and flip people off and lick it at the same time because I thought that made me look like a badass. So next up on our list at number 9 is pretty much one of the candies, one of the more popular candies on the list that I used to have a lot of when I was growing up, are Airheads. Airheads are awesome. And the reason why Airheads are awesome is because they're one of the few candies that actually incorporate taffy. So if you like taffy, then you would like Airheads. They're pretty cool. They're not traditional taffy candies. If you like taffy, they're not like creamy. So the whole point behind Airheads is that they kind of have a chewy, tart consistency to it, kind of like a tart taffy. And I think they were first created by Steve Brunner in 1985, and they still are popular today. There are over 16 different flavors of Airheads circling around currently, and people would go crazy for Airheads back in the day, and they still probably are. You might find this in your Halloween bag tonight if you get lucky. And the reason why they're so popular that I've often found is that people kind of trade these like baseball cards. You can buy them in different packs, different flavors, a multi-pack. Sometimes they'll come out with like a seasonal flavor. And that's why they were so popular back in the day, especially this bad boy right here. The mystery Airhead was a big thing back in the day, and the reason why is because nobody really figured out what the flavor actually is. I think it tastes like berries of some sort. And I kid you not, there are entire YouTube videos dedicated just for this treat right here. No joke, the mystery Airhead. Go ahead and check it out if you want to. But it is pretty cool. Airheads are awesome. If you've never had an Airhead, you have to try one. They're really neat. They're very popular. And go out and try an Airhead. Okay, so next up on our list is a candy that was kind of similar to Airheads. They were pretty cool back in the day. Nobody really thought of much about them, and the popularity of them are pretty cool. They're just simple, easy to eat candies that a lot of people remember even today are Warheads. Warheads are pretty cool. They're awesome. You remember getting these in arcades. You can buy entire bags of them, different flavors. And essentially what a Warhead is a super, super sour candy. It comes in a lot of different flavors. You have sour apple, you have blackberry, cherry, and they're really, really neat. And people would exchange these at Halloween time for different flavors. So these were actually invented in Taiwan in 1975. They were imported to the US in 1999 or 97 by the Whole Candy Company, by the Foreign Candy Company, I think in Whole, Iowa. There we go, I got it right. And the whole process behind these things they're just super, super sour candies. If you like sour candies, you'll love these things. So essentially what it is they're called Warheads because of the supposed warhead-like feeling going off in one's mouth when you consume it. So they're just little like lifesavers, but they're super sour. They have a thin coat of really, really, really tart powder. That's the only way I can describe it. And after you suck it all off, the candy becomes sweet. It's kind of like a two-stage candy. They're pretty awesome. And then it's just like a sweet flavor. You know, whatever flavor you would get that flavor after you're done eating it. I would just stuff a whole bunch of these in my mouth and reap the rewards after the whole puckering was over. There's actually a mascot. This guy right here in the front cover, you can barely see it because these are really small candies. It is called Willy Warhead or Wally Warhead, and he actually has like a mushroom cloud for hair, and that represents him having, you know, the puckered mouth of actually eating candy that's super sour. So those are Warheads. You might find them in a Halloween bag. You maybe not. If you get lucky, you will. And they are awesome candies. Go ahead and try them out, but beware. Don't eat a whole lot of them because they'll eat away at your mouth lining. I think they're one of the candies that actually come with a warning label. If you eat too much of these, they will kind of mess up your gums because they have like super acidity to them. And yeah, go out and try some Warheads. Okay, so number 7 on our list is a candy that's basically an icon. I don't think you're gonna find this in your Halloween bags. If you do, you're so lucky. People used to eat this back in the day, and they still do. And that candy is Pop Rocks. Pop Rocks are baller. Pop Rocks are really baller. Pop Rocks, they're not even a candy. They're like an experience. The whole point of buying Pop Rocks was to just rip it off, eat it, and have your friend listen to the popping sensation in your mouth. That's why Pop Rocks are so cool. It's more of an experience than a candy. So you really can't buy Pop Rocks just for the flavor alone. I mean, you can. This is strawberry. I have green apple here too, and they're really cool candies. It's like a revolutionary candy. So Pop Rocks were actually first patented by the General Foods chemist in 1961. They weren't released to the public until the late 1970s. In 1983, they were actually removed from the shelves, citing quality concern issues and unpopularity when they were first released. So over the years, they actually increased in popularity. And the reason why is they had a longer shelf life, people began eating them more frequently, and they just kind of caught on. So Pop Rocks, not a whole lot of people know how they're made. So Pop Rocks is like kind of a hard candy that's been broken up into little rock pieces. And how they're made is they make a mixture, like a syrup that's allowed to harden. And then after it hardens, they expose the mixture to carbon dioxide that allows it to break it down in little bits and pieces. So after the candy hardens, if it comes in contact with, like, let's say for instance, saliva or water or soda, it releases the carbon dioxide and you'll get a popping sensation. That's why Pop Rocks are so awesome, because they are revolutionary. So revolutionary, in fact, that there was a book written by them. Go ahead and check it out. I forget what it's called right now, but there's a book written about them. Pop Rocks are awesome. I'm probably gonna eat both of these tonight. So, and there are, I wanna say, 10, 16 different flavors of these things. They're really cool. I don't know if they come in a bigger size than this, but this is pretty much the standard size. It looks like a Kool-Aid packet. So go out and try Pop Rocks. If you've never tried Pop Rocks, you gotta try one. It's such a good experience, and they're really cool. And remember, there's only one way to eat these, and then just taking the top off completely and just dousing up, eating them all at one time. That's how I used to do it. So if you want to go out and get some Pop Rocks and try them, I highly recommend it, Pop Rocks. So next up on our list, I think at number 5, I don't know if we're counting backwards or forwards, I forget at this point in time, but it was a candy that didn't really get a whole lot of attention. I don't think a whole lot of people know it exists. I really don't see a whole lot of people eating it back then, and I really don't see a whole lot of kids eating it now. It's the whole health conscious thing. But anyways, back in Halloween time, back in when I was a kid, we used to get packets of Fun Dip. Fun Dip is one of those candies that it's like an experience. You would have to like work at your candy, if that makes any sense. You just can't consume it really quickly. So a little bit about Fun Dip. Fun Dip wasn't originally called Fun Dip. It was actually called Lick-O-Maid. There's on the right here, you can barely see it. So Lick-O-Maid was what Fun Dip was called back, I think, in the early 40s. So Fun Dip is a Willy Wonka invention that I think was later bought out by Nestle in 1960, 70 something, and it's a pretty cool candy. What it is essentially is you get a stick, like a sugar stick that's like white, that you can actually eat. It's edible. You look at and you dip it in the dip, and then you take it out and you eat like a lollipop. And basically what it is, it's Pixie Sticks. Like Pixie Sticks, or like the powder that comes in Pixie Sticks. That is exactly what this is. It's just Pixie Stick powder dip. That's what they should call it, Pixie Stick powder dip. So Fun Dip is pretty cool. So I don't know if they still have it, but they used to have Fun Dip that had like 3 flavors and then like 2 sticks over here. I don't know if it was like a king size pack or whatever, but I think since then they begin selling them individually. Maybe that's more cost effective for them. And I think kids like crazier flavors. I don't think they had Raz Apple Magic Dip back in the day. That had cherry, they had cherry, grape, and a few other flavors that were pretty cool. But yeah, you ever tried Fun Dip? It's pretty cool. You like Pixie Sticks, you'll like Fun Dip. And then after you're done eating the actual powder, you can just eat the stick. The whole thing's edible except for the wrapper, so don't eat the wrapper. Yeah, go out and try Fun Dip. It's a pretty cool candy. You ever get a chance to eat it. Okay, so next up on our list at number 4, if we're counting backwards, is a candy that's kind of underrated in my opinion, and that's Nerds. Nerds are pretty awesome. They're first produced in 1983 by the Nestle company again. Nerds are one of those revolutionary candies, a bit like Pop Rocks in such a way that people, they're not really a candy. They're more like an experience. They have a sound to them. And they're just little rock candies. They don't pop in your mouth, but you get to suck on them. They have a bunch of flavor to them. They're kind of like rock candies, but not as hard. You can chew them. And Nestle came out with this. No, Nestle owns it. But Willy Wonka came out with this. And the whole thing behind Nerds is that they wanted to do something different. They wanted to give the public something different back in the 80s. And they certainly did. Usually Nerds come in either this size variety. It's like 4 inches by 3 inches, and there's usually 2 flavors inside the same pack. It has a divider on it. You get to open one side, you get grape. You open up the other side, you get strawberry. And sometimes they have little packets that just has 1 flavor to them. And Nerds are pretty cool. Nerds are pretty awesome. They're more of the type of candy that you would see in your Halloween bag. They're pretty awesome. You still see them from time to time. And they have a long shelf life. I don't know how they're created exactly. I do know that they are fun to eat. They're like Pop Rocks, they're really fun to eat. They're not satisfying, but they do have a lot of flavor if you just decide to suck on them. I used to eat them one way back when I was younger. It's just, not the big box, but the little box, and just chug the whole thing all at once and then suck on the Nerds and then eat it. I don't know why I did it that way, but it was just really, really fun. So you happen to see Nerds, consider yourself lucky. Nerds are one of those revolutionary candies, and they're awesome. Cool, awesome Nerds. I don't know how many flavors there are. I want to say 8 different flavors. I've only seen like 4 or 5, but I'm pretty sure there are more. Okay, so next up on our list at number 3, in no particular order, is the only gum that made the lineup. I usually am pretty decisive when it comes to gum. I don't eat a whole lot of it, only like minty gum nowadays, but back in the day when I played baseball, that's a hint. I used to eat this gum all the time, and that is Big League Chew. Big League Chew was the gum to have if you played baseball. So, quick story, I played baseball right around the same time the movie Sandlot came out, so it was kind of a big thing for me. So it does come with a bit of a backstory, but Big League Chew is one of the most, if not the most, revolutionary gums out there in the market today. So the story of Big League Chew, the Hall of Fame bubblegum, is that there was a sitting in the Northwest League bullpen long ago, Portland Mavericks left-hand pitcher Rob Nelson came up with a fun idea to make shredded bubblegum very similar to the snuff or dip that a lot of famous baseball players would consume, kind of like tobacco, in the late 1970s. He called it Big League Chew. Rob shared his idea with fellow Maverick Jim Bolton, who eventually found a company that knew how to make shredded gum. The rest, as they say, is history, and it certainly is. If you had this when you were playing baseball, when you were a young little boy, you were awesome. You were like the cool kid. And we used to just take a whole bunch of it, put it in our mouths like the famous ball players back in the day used to use and eat tobacco. And it was one of those candies that's specifically marketed to a certain demographic. Anybody could eat it. I mean, it's just gum. But usually boys would pay attention to this. You know, little young boys playing Little League, T-ball, sports, basketball, baseball, right around the late 1980s to mid 1990s. If you're that age, you had Big League Chew. And it does come with a little cartoon on the front of it. It's very shaped like a not plastic bag, but a paper baggie that like real tobacco would be in. You'd open it up like this, and then you'd take a bunch like shredded gum, and you would eat it. And it was pretty cool. I liked it. I liked it now. Back in the day, they had the original flavor of bubble gum. They didn't have green apple. I think that's a flavor now. They had grape, which I bought back in the day. I used to eat back in the day. Every once in a while, I would get this, and I would be so happy because it was the bubblegum to have. If you haven't had Big League Chew, it is a interesting gum. It's very sweet. It has a lot of flavor to it. The cartoon is very catchy, and there's a lot in here. You can take your time eating it and pretend like you're a famous ball player if you don't like tobacco. So that is Big League Chew. You're in the big leagues with your Big League Chew. That was the famous tagline back from the commercials. I don't know if they had commercials or not, but that was the tagline. So I'm definitely going to keep these. I don't think I'm going to give it away for Halloween because it means too much to me. But that's awesome. Go out and try Big League Chew. It is an awesome gun to try. Ugh. So next up on our list at, I believe, number 8 is a candy that I don't think it gets a whole lot of reputation. It does today a little bit. You would often see this candy in those turn quarter machines that you would get. You get small pieces, and they're also one of the more popular movie candies. That's a hint, if you ever guessed it, and that is Mike and Ikes. Mike and Ikes is awesome. I like Mike and Ikes. And the reason why I like Mike and Ikes so much is because it's just a simple candy. They have like little fruit chews like this that are the shape of like, I don't know what kind of shape they are, like little round kind of oval candies. They're really easy to eat. There are a lot of flavors to them. So Mike and Ikes were first produced by the Just Born Candy Company in 1940. One of the older candies on the list. And it's pretty cool. I like candies. You can buy these you usually see Mike and Ikes at movie theaters. They're like the movie theater candy that people get. You also see these in the turnstile candy machines. You put a quarter in, you get a bunch of candy. That's the kind of Mike and Ikes candy you get. So it's pretty popular. They do, I want to say, have specialty flavors like orange and cream every now and then. They would have root beer float every now and then. It's a really cool candy. You'll probably see this, I don't know what kind of packages they come in. They usually come in like bigger packages if you get them in the movies. But Mike and Ike is awesome. I think I like Mike and Ike. It's one of my favorite candies of all time just because it has a lot of history behind it. And that's it. Go out and try Mike and Ike's if you haven't already. Man, Okay, so number 9, we're getting close to the end, are Sour Patch Kids. Sour Patch Kids were another movie candy that you get, kind of this size too. And what's cool about Sour Patch Kids is they do go back a long ways, I think until the early 1970s. They weren't actually called Sour Patch Kids, they were actually called Mars Men. And Sour Patch Kids are awesome. It's like a combination of, this is a combination of like Warheads and Mike and Ikes. So if you like Warheads, you like Mike and Ikes, you'll like these because they're sour, but they're also really chewy and they have a lot of flavor and fruitness to them. These are a movie type candies. They have really funny commercials right here that you can see, and they rebranded themselves recently, I think, with all those funny commercials. And they're pretty cool. Sour Patch Kids are awesome. They're a very popular candy. They have a lot of varieties out there. And if you get lucky, you'll see these in your Halloween bag this holiday. So that's that's Sour Patch Kids. Go out and try some. They're pretty awesome. I got the super sour flavor, and they're not that unhealthy for you. You get them in packages like this. You can buy them in bigger bags if you want to. But yeah, Sour Patch Kids. Go out and try some. And number 10 on our list, in no particular fashion, are Now-Relators. Now-Relators are pretty lit, mainly because they remind me of Starburst. Starburst almost made the list too, because you would definitely see Starburst in your Halloween bag. Without a doubt, Starburst are super popular. The reason why I picked Now-Relators is because they're just cooler. I think the Starburst, they're a little bit bigger too. And the whole marketing thing behind Now-Relators is to tell somebody that you can eat them now or later, like one of those endurance candies you can just suck on, or you can chew them right away. They do have different varieties. This one just happens to be the Berry Smash one. But if you open it up, they do come in different packages, like smaller packages. They're a little bit bigger than Starbursts. Now-Relators were produced by the Phoenix Candy Company, and I want to say here's I think one of the older candies. They were in Brooklyn, New York, in 1962, under the Phoenix Candy Company. They first came out. They're really cool. You might see them. Now-Relators, I think, also have more varieties nowadays than they did back when I used to eat them. They have the softer ones, the softer chews, because I think there was a complaint that they used to just rip people's fillings out of their mouths because they were kind of hard to eat at the time. But they have increased their marketing. They have increased their product brand over the years. And if you get Now-Relators, they are awesome. And that's about it. So that is it for this Halloween special. Hope you guys appreciated it as much as I did making it. I love talking about brands. I like talking about candy, especially around Halloween time. I personally think Halloween's my favorite holiday. That's just me. I do want to give a shout out to oldtimecandy.com. So this video is not sponsored by them, but it is where I got all of my candy that you saw in the video. And the reason why I like oldtimecandy.com especially is you can buy candy by periods, by period-specific candy, like the 1920s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, all the way up to today. It's a really interesting site. If you ever thought about buying candy from a particular era, you can find it at oldtimecandy.com. Also, in conjunction to that, you can buy candy in individual pieces. You don't have to buy the entire pack, which is really cool. It is beneficial if you buy more than one candy, because if you just buy one little candy like a Warhead, you're going to be spending more on mailing than you are in the actual candy. So all the candy that you saw here today in this video, I bought from oldtimecandy.com. So go ahead and check them out. They're a really cool company. They're really nice, and I got my package within a couple days. And the candy is fresh and it's awesome. There's nothing here that's broken, and they're just a really cool company to do business with. So that's it. I will hopefully see you guys maybe next week or the week after. I do have a video in the pipeline. I know I always say that, but this time I'm serious. So be safe for this Halloween. Let me know in the comments below what weird candy you got for your Halloween. And yeah, that's it. And I will see you guys later.